So now we are in Austria and we're in Burgenland for a lovely transitional rosé. So this is the Konig rosé from Pittnauer. I'm super excited to have a couple different wines from Pittnauer this month, and hopefully we'll continue to get more of their wines. So Burgenland has some really dope natural wine producers, and you'll see why I've been like kind of on the hunt to get them in here for a bit. So I'm really happy to start with this one, because I think that it's a really good, like I said, transitional rosé for moving into the fall. So it is mainly Blaufränkisch with a little bit of Saint Laurent and Rotburger, which is not initially, you might think it's like, Spätburgunder style, like it's like a name for something else, but it's actually a cross between Trollinger and Riesling, I think it was. So it's a pretty crazy cross to have a red grape from that. But again, only just a little bit of those two. This one is really mainly Blaufränkisch. So like I said, it has a little bit more extraction. It is a little bit heftier moving us into fall, but we'll get there in a moment. And then just the last thing I wanted to mention, I think it had about 3 or 4 months of lease contact. So again, if we've been talking about lease contact for a while, you'll know that's going to give it more of like a rounder mouthfeel. So that's what we know moving into it. Now let's see what we actually experience. Oh, it's just such a perfect rosé for right now. So it's light and bright still, but you will notice that more, round mouthfeel that comes from those leaves. I would say it's, full of berries for the most part. Like there's cherry there, but I'm really getting initially like more of the raspberry, the cranberry, and then some more of like the cherry style there. With the leaves, like I'm not so much getting, I'm not getting so much of like, I don't know, the creaminess to it. I think I'm really just experiencing that more in the mouthfeel than in like the flavors itself. Someone mentioned that they thought this was a bit of like a romantic wine, and I thought that was like a nice way to describe it. I do think that it kind of has that feel to it. So let's see if there's anything else in there. I just realized I forgot to start with smell. So we know what's on the palate. Let's actually just cut back to the smell now. All right, so at the top, just like what we were talking about on the palate, it's weird to do this backwards. I've never done this backwards. We'll see how this goes. Almost feels like cheating. So there's definitely lighter up here. It's like super like that light bright that I said initially, like really a lot of that up here. Mainly it's like cranberries. It's also, I think, like maybe baking spices as well, like basil maybe. And then down here, oh well, down here it actually smells pretty deep. It would have made me, if I'd done this initially, it would have made me think that it was going to be heavier and not be like light and bright on the palate like we did actually experience. So this is more like almost like plums and I don't want to say violets because I'm not really sure, but some sort of maybe like heavy floral something there. So weird. It was weird to do that backwards. All right. So knowing that about this and knowing that we're talking about September for this wine right now, I think that this is going to be a really good food wine because it is, it does have, that rounder mouthfeel. So that's going to help for pairing. And it also has really bright acidity. So that's going to help it kind of combat a lot of the foods you might put this with. We literally just had the other day halloumi and watermelon, and I know that's like a perfect middle of the summer thing, but if you're still getting in, the last of your watermelons for the season, oh my gosh, if you grill it, that is so good. And something about this style of this rosé, I feel like would have just been amazing with that. Probably something about the fact that it's like the grilled aspect of it, and then like the maybe matching notes. I didn't say watermelon on this, but I don't know. It's not a sweetness, but there's something to it, and maybe it goes back to the leaves that I feel like really just matches really well there. That's incredibly specific, but if you haven't tried it, definitely try that. It's delicious. Other options would be like you could go drunk food here, but I don't think you want to. This wine could do better than that. You could even go like Korean food, like maybe like Korean wings or bibimbap or something like that could be really nice. And then any final ones, Like it doesn't have, it might have a little bit of residual sugar. I don't know exactly how much. It's never very much, but this one might have a tiny bit more than others. So maybe that's what's making me think of some of these like Asian foods as well. So that's kind of where I would go with it. Generally, your Asian foods, nothing too spicy, but things with spices would be very nice. So enjoy. I think it's a really fun rosé to kind of lead you into the fall.